Hey, what's up? What's up? We're going to take a dive into the markets here. We're going to start by looking at these heat maps, see if it's a red day, green day, dive in a little deeper, and then look at some news and some different thoughts to look at. Be sure to hit the like, hit the follow. First of all, let's go over here to this heat map here. So this is the heat map. If you're unfamiliar with this, this is on TradingView. If you want TradingView, click the link in the description. I have a link for it in there. Well, it takes you to my resources page, then there's a link for TradingView. But overall, when you look at this, right, here's the heat map of the majority of the crypto market in terms of market cap. We're seeing a lot of red. Now, on this chart, the open, it just kind of opened. And so some of it's not, like this, for instance, is flow right here. Flow is actually up a shitload in the last 24 hours. But since the time that it does this market open at, which it just happened, it's why it's showing red. But nonetheless, for all intents and purposes, this is very accurate right now. And you can see when you look across here, you see mostly red. Down here, we could zoom in more, see other cryptos as we get smaller and smaller by market cap. But just zooming out, we can see that mostly this is kind of a red day, is what it looks like to me. Let's look at the stock market real quick. Here's the stock heat map. As you just take a quick glance at here, this looks like mostly a red day too. Amazon being the thing standing out, and Visa. But mostly this is just a red to neutral day, right? Barely moved on Apple, barely moved on Tesla. Microsoft's at even, Google's down just a bit. So overall, though, it just looks like a red day overall. Let's go to the crypto CoinMarketCap. Look at the charts here. As we're seeing in the 24 hours, see Bitcoin's down, Ethereum, Tether. Let's see who the top gainers are for the day. See, Flow for the last 24 hours is actually a really big gainer. If we pull that up, Flow, if you're unfamiliar, is Dapper. So they do like Top Shot. They got the partnerships with the NFL All Day, UFC Strike. They probably got a pretty good future. They're basically like digital sports cards, but they're moments. Moments is what they call them. And I actually was an early person that I made a shitload of money in Top Shot because I was very early in. And then one day it just literally went like 500x. It was crazy. But as you can see in the last, if we go to the daily, something must have happened here that shot it up. Right, so some big piece of news or hype must have came in, and now it's kind of cooling down. So when we're looking at the heat map back there, the market must have started from like back here for some reason for them for the open, if you get what I'm saying. Let's go back real quick. Who else are the big gainers? Anything else of note? Trust Wallet, Chili's. Chili's is kind of another sports thing. Engine, I'm a big fan of Engine. Engine is a blockchain gaming company. I'm very, very bullish on blockchain gaming. Got Phantom, we got Tezos. I just see a lot of opportunity all around here. And let's see what the biggest losers are. Not in the good way, like where you lose the fat. Lido, interesting. Ethereum Classic. Lido is where you stake ETH. You can get ST ETH from it. ST ETH is a pretty good deal, by the way. I mean, you can't really redeem it. You can redeem it for its full amount of Ethereum. You can get it at a discount compared to the price of Ethereum. But when ETH actually becomes unstaked, you can actually take your ST ETH and get ETH. So you can buy ETH at a discount any time as long as you're willing to wait. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. Arweave down. That's a pretty good deal. There's just so much good stuff going on here. Curve, Convex, Yearn. These are some major DeFi players as well as Aave and Compound. Those would really be the five. Maybe MakerDAO too. So this would probably be the 6 DeFi protocols to look at. I'm a big fan of Gala. All right, there's Aave down there. Its market cap is 1.3 billion. What was Curve? 686. What a deal. 384 for Yearn. 441. Convex basically kind of controls Curve because it owns so much Curve token. It has a lot of governance and voting rights in Curve to delegate where reward tokens go into the reward pools in Curve. Let's dive into some news. So Coinbase shares take off because of this Blackrock crypto deal. We'll look at another article too that dives deeper in that. That's a pretty big deal. Basically what they've done is Blackrock allowed all of its, I don't know if you call them subsidiaries or whatever, pieces of their network to get tapped into their Aladdin network, so that now these other people in the Blackrock network can just buy crypto on Coinbase like by pushing a button. Big deal. BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world with around 10 trillion in assets under management. So it says here Coinbase shares soared after they announced a partnership with Blackrock, right, which will allow its institutional clients to buy Bitcoin. Shares were, and Kathy Wood just sold a good amount, about 1 million shares of Coinbase like a couple weeks ago. Whew, regretful, but she still got like 5 million shares, so should have bought more instead of sold. Services, but hindsight, 2020. Coinbase will provide crypto trading, custody, prime brokerage, and reporting capabilities. BlackRock is the largest. Now it's $8 trillion because they did lose about $1.5 trillion in dollar value from their investments going down. So Coin became one of the most mentioned names Thursday. Obviously, our institutional clients are increasingly interested in gaining exposure to digital asset markets and are focused on how to efficiently manage the operational lifestyle of these assets, says Joseph Challam, Global Head of Strategic Ecosystem Partnerships at BlackRock. What a title. I'm the Global Head of Strategic Ecosystem Partnerships. Like, how many titles must they have in this ginormous company? So there's that. More than 22%. If we looked at Coinbase shares, that would be pretty interesting because they've basically doubled in the last week. I really like this article right here. Except for, will Bloomberg let me see it? No, they won't. And this is really interesting. New crypto oversight legislation arrives as industry shakes. I feel like, that's just a good headline there. Check this out, though. So lawmakers and lobbyists have papered Capitol Hill with proposals on how to regulate the industry. Now, regulation is necessary. It is absolutely necessary. Listen, it has to be. For it to get to its true full potential, regulation needs to be there because it's important to realize that 95% of the money in the world, we're talking hedge funds, pension funds, well, not hedge funds, some hedge funds, pension funds, and big what's the word? Whatever. Big money, okay? Banks, institutions, that's the word I was looking for. They can't touch crypto. Legally, they cannot touch it because there's no regulation. When regulation comes, then they can get in. And that's when we really take off, literally, to the effing moon. Okay? So keep that in mind. Is there drawbacks? Are there going to be rules that we don't necessarily like and things like that? Of course. But it's a pro and con thing. And for this to really grow to its full potential, there needs to be regulation. And regulation can always be amended and altered and lobbied, etc. Okay? So this latest proposal from Debbie Stabenow and John Boozman, love those names, Stabenow, Boozman, they would hand the regulatory authority over Bitcoin and Ethereum, to the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. Stabenow and Boozman lead the Senate Agricultural Committee, which has authority over CTFC. So next thing to look at here is Stabenow Boozman bill, that's what it's called, would be a win for the cryptocurrency industry, which sees the CFTC as more industry-friendly regulator than the SEC. I completely agree with that, and I think most people would. Now, the CFTC does have a smaller budget and a smaller number of employees. Look at that. Beast. Then the SEC, which has 2 billy, and 4,500 full-time employees. A lot more for the SEC to regulate, and lots more crap goes on in the securities market than the commodities market, and there's a lot more securities than commodities, The CFTC already, this is important to know, the CFTC already oversees future contracts for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So you think about the Bitcoin futures contract and the Ethereum. Is there actually an Ethereum futures contract in America? They're saying there is. I don't know of that one. Maybe I thought there's only the Bitcoin one and then the Bitcoin short. Anyways, hit the like and hit the follow if you're digging this so far. So that's very interesting because they already oversee the futures contracts for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Listen, I'll tell you my thoughts on all this in a second, okay? But let's just finish through this, and I'm going to give you some really good takeaways and my thoughts on all this. The bill would leave crypto-like products like tokens and non-fungible tokens for the SEC to potentially assert its regulative authority. I'm going to dive in on that in a second. So Marlon Cumberbatch, he conducts research on currency, cryptocurrency, digital assets for the National Research Group. He says, some people believe this is the beginning of the end for crypto. of course. Cumberbatch said, but we believe this is the end of the beginning, and bringing in regulation would be the end of the beginning. It really would be. Also to note, the Stablecoin Trust Act, which was put out by Senator Pat Toomey, that would be a framework to regulate stablecoins. So we have stablecoin regulation, we have crypto regulation. Even within crypto regulation, we have NFT, non-fungible and digital asset regulation, and crypto regulation, the coins. And even within there, it gets broken down into other barriers. And that's basically it for that article. Let me tell you what I think. So I think Ethereum and Bitcoin should absolutely 100%, no questions asked, no argument, be regulated by the CFTC. Or crypto itself should just get an entire new regulation division that isn't the CFTC, that isn't the SEC, that is just the crypto, I don't know, regulation firm, CRF, whatever. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely not securities. They are not, no way. Gensler, everybody agrees with Bitcoin, but Gensler's trying to hold out on Ethereum even though the guy before him said Ethereum's not, okay? So that's why this XRP lawsuit is so big. XRP really needs to win this. Now, with that being said, lots of cryptos are securities because the definition of a security is, I'll show you. A security refers to a fungible, negotiable financial instrument that holds some type of monetary value. Okay, so that's one thing, but that's not all. It represents an ownership position in a publicly traded corporation via stock. Now, this is referencing stocks. Think about this as crypto. Think about it as a share of that company. Creditor relationship with a governmental body or a corporation represented by owning that entity's body or rights of ownership is represented by an option. So that's all that stuff. The big things I want you to see here is there's basically three types of securities. Equity, which provides ownership rights to holders. Debt, essentially loans repaid with periodic payments. And hybrids, which combine aspects of debt and equity. Okay. Public sales of securities are regulated by the SEC. Now, another important thing to look at is, again, there's equities and debts, okay? And some have the hybrid model. But something important to look at here, here's what I really want to show you. An equity security represents ownership interest held by a shareholder in an entity realized in the form of shares, which includes both common and preferred. Holders are not entitled to regular payments and often do not have dividends, but they are able to profit from capital gains. Okay, so far, you see the case for the SEC getting a hold of crypto. Equity securities do entitle the holders some control of the company. Now, that's not necessarily the case at all for crypto, is it? Okay. Debt securities. The thing I really want to show you that I'm having trouble finding here is that securities, you basically buy them. When they are first distributed, you buy them and you have a reasonable expectation of return. It has to do with the buying of it, right? Because they do like you do an ICO. Any crypto that did an ICO where you buy the coins up front, that would make them a security. But if they airdrop them, that is a much stronger case that it is not a security because they gave it to people for free and the market decided. What it was. So you can't really, in my opinion, you can't have a security when the market is deciding the value of it, when you just gave this thing away for free and the market says, hey, we're going to start selling this thing. Because the centralized organization didn't do it. But when they do an ICO, then they are putting a value on it. When the market is the only one putting a value on it and the issuer never put any value on it, that's a very different scenario. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Plus, Ethereum is also a commodity, although Ethereum didn't do an airdrop, I believe. So the next point I want to bring up is that does it have utility? Because a stock share, a security, doesn't really have use. Ethereum has use because you have to use it to run on the network and do transactions, okay? So it's also like a currency and a commodity, gas, right? The layer ones all have that, even though they may have done an ICO. It has utility to it. So for the SEC to get to regulate it, it doesn't fit to me, and I don't like it because it just gets them to expand everything. Where commodity, it makes a lot more sense because commodities have value too. Again, the market decides what the value is in the same way when you do like an airdrop. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Hit the like, hit the follow. That's what I got for you today. I'll be doing a live stream today at noon Pacific Standard Time on TikTok and YouTube, as I usually do Monday through Friday. Wish I had a good joke to end on, but I don't. Goodbye.